After 20 years of waiting, I finally gave birth to twins. But just a few hours after their naming ceremony, my husband asked me a question that made my heart stop. He looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Bisola, who is the real father of these children?" My name is Bisola. I got married to my husband Sunday when I was just 23 years old. I was a virgin. I had never known any other man before, and I believed with all my heart that we were going to build a beautiful home together, a home filled with love and children. The first year passed, nothing. Second year passed, still nothing. By the third year, people started asking questions. At first, it was gentle. "Any good news?" I would smile and say, "Soon." But soon never came. By the fifth year, the questions became louder. Family gatherings became uncomfortable. You would see women my age carrying babies on their backs while I sit there empty-handed. We tried everything: hospitals, different doctors, tests and tests. Sometimes they said I was fine. Sometimes they said he was fine. But the truth was, nothing was working. I prayed. God knows I prayed. There were nights I would wake up at 2 a.m., kneel beside my bed and cry until my chest hurt. I fasted. I went to prayer houses. I believed, I truly believed, that one day God would answer me. By the 10th year, things got worse. My mother-in-law started dropping comments, not directly, but enough for me to understand. "A man needs a child to carry his name," she always said. I lived every day in fear that one day my husband would wake up and decide I was not enough. But Sunday, he never changed. He never shouted. He never blamed me. Instead, he would hold my hand and say, "Bisola, you are enough for me." And every time he said that, I loved him even more. But love does not silence society. One afternoon, I went to visit a close friend. We were talking, laughing, but somehow the conversation returned to my situation. Then she looked at me seriously and said, "Bisola, how long will you continue like this?" I didn't understand. Then she leaned closer and whispered, "Find a young boy, just once. Get pregnant. Your husband will never know." I froze. I felt like someone poured cold water on my body. I stood up immediately. "Never! I can never do that." I told her I married my husband as a virgin. I told her I had never been with any man except him. I told her I would never betray him like that. She shrugged like it was nothing. But me, I left her house shaking. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her words in my head, over and over again. And for the first time in 20 years, a dangerous thought entered my mind. I told my friend no, but in my heart, I had already said yes. A week later, my husband told me he had a business trip. 1 week business trip. The moment he left, the house became too quiet, too still. We had a houseboy, a young boy, respectful, always keeping to himself. I had never looked at him that way before, not even once. But that day, everything changed. I called him into my room. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing so fast. I thought it would come out of my chest. At first, he thought I was joking. He even laughed nervously. But when he saw my face, he knew I was serious. He hesitated. Of course he did. But I convinced him. And for 1 week, I crossed a line I never thought I would cross. When my husband came back, I became the perfect wife again. I cooked with his favorite meals. I smiled. I laughed like nothing ever happened. One morning, everything changed. I stood in the bathroom holding a pregnancy test. My hands were trembling. 2 lines? I was pregnant? When I went to the hospital, the doctor smiled and said, "Congratulations, you are carrying twins." I didn't know whether to scream or cry. When I told my husband, he was the happiest man alive. He lifted me up, he laughed, he cried, he kept saying, "God has done it, God has answered us, God is so good." He started treating me like I was a gold. Every night, he would pray and thank God. He called me the mother of his children. And me, I smiled, I laughed, I acted happy. But every night, when I lay beside him, I felt like I was living a lie. 9 months later, I gave birth. 2 beautiful babies. 2 beautiful baby girls. Perfect, healthy, and innocent. 7 days later, we held their naming ceremony. It was beautiful. Music filled the air. Family members danced. People congratulated us. Everyone said, "This home is finally complete." And for a moment, I almost believed it. But that night, everything broke. After everyone left, the house became quiet again. My husband sat down and called my name. "Bisola." The way he said my name, something felt wrong. Then he looked at me, not with love, but with something else, something heavy. And then he asked, "Bisola, who is the real father of these children?" My heart stopped. I forced a laugh. What kind of question is that? But he didn't smile. He said quietly, "I know what I'm asking." Then he took a deep breath and told me something that changed everything. Years ago, just 1 year into our marriage, he cheated on me. When he returned from that trip, he started feeling pains in his body, especially in his private areas. He went to the hospital. After several tests, the doctor told him something devastating. He will never be able to get a woman pregnant again. Never. But the woman he was with got pregnant and she gave birth to a boy, his son. Then he looked at me and said something that made my world collapse. "That boy is in this house." My ears started ringing. "The houseboy is my son." That was what he said. At that moment, everything went silent because the houseboy was the same person I slept with. My vision went blurry, my body became weak, and the next thing I remember was darkness. I fainted. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. Everything came crushing back. The truth, the secrets, the mistake, the children I gave birth to were not just children. They were his blood, but not as a father, as a grandfather. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't even look at him. He begged me not to leave. His family begged me. They said he has accepted the children. Isn't that enough? But they didn't know the truth. They didn't know that the children he was calling his own belonged to his son. Now I am standing at a crossroad. Do I tell him the truth and destroy everything? Or do I walk away and carry the secrets for the rest of my life? Because some secrets are too heavy to carry, but even heavier to reveal. So tell me, if you were me, what would you do? Thank you all so much for listening to this wonderful story. I would like to hear your opinions in the comment section. Please do also like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.